Hello everyone, GeneralApple here with the house in Fata Morgana part 25, and on the last video we actually managed to talk with Pauline and we got a little bit more information about her relation with the beast. Also, we got a new character, or I guess an old one, which is Maria herself. And we actually seen her connection to Pauline and the whole affair. So it's really interesting to see what we'll discover now, because we only just really started. We finished the entire day, but I have a feeling now I believe it's the second day, will be way more informative. So let's continue right where we left off, which is here. Huh? Ah, my head. Feels like someone drove a spike through it. What's going on? Am I in the cellar? What? My hands are tied up behind my back. What am I doing down here? Wait, Giselle? Giselle? Say something, Giselle. Unable to make any sort of sense out of my circumstances, it's not long after I regain consciousness that panic begins to sink in. And the most unsettling thing of all, the most frightening detail, is the fact that I can't hear her voice. Yeah, I assumed it's Yukimasa. Awake, are we? Are you the one who brought me here? What, you don't remember this morning? Morning? Right, I woke up because I heard someone enter the room. And then he hit me over the head. You're not dead, at least. That's good. What do you hope to accomplish by tying me up and bringing me down here? Remember what I said last night at supper about me putting on a little sideshow for you? What? I was reenacting the Last Supper with you as the guest of honor. Oh, now I see. When you were asking if I had any family or friends, you were trying to find out if anyone would notice if I disappeared, if anyone would make any noise. You're sharper than you look. If only you'd caught on yesterday. Please, Giselle, say something. Giselle! Why won't you answer me? Why can't I hear your voice? Why can't I feel you here? There. You're a quiet one. I thought you'd be a little louder. What made you decide to get rid of me? Did the nun say something? She has nothing to do with this. I have permission from the Lord to act at my own discretion, should I come across anyone acting suspicious. This doesn't seem in the least bit wrong to you. I wouldn't say that. You're an acquaintance friend who made a long trip to come see him, and I have you tied up in the cellar. That's not what I would consider right, no. But seeing as you're good enough friends for him to let you stay here, I assume he's also spilled everything? He never had what it took, that boy. If I were to guess, it got to be too much for him to handle, so he went to a friend. To you. Leave him out of this. I see. So how much did he tell you? If you come clean, I might even let you go. Get rid of him, have you take his place. I said leave him out of this. So you're determined not to talk, are you? What a loyal friend. Listen to me. Listen? Oh, I'm listening. Because you have a lot of talking to do. Man, I truly hate him. I truly hate him. I know I said it too much, but I really do. I don't have many chances to let loose. So I'll be taking as much time as I can today. He says in an eerily flat tone of voice as he draws nearer, pausing between each step as if to taunt me. And when he reaches me, struggling to get off the ground. He slams his heel into my shoulder. Not being able to use your hands makes you appreciate how much easier it is to stand up when you can, doesn't it? Someone help. Please. Don't waste your energy. No one ever comes back this far. And the door is so heavy, your screams will never make it out. But that's the least of your worries. The door to the cellar been locked. And the only key is right here. There's no getting in. If you can run fast enough, you might have a chance of making it to the door and escaping. Wanna test your luck? I doubt you can make it. He puts the full weight of his body into his heel, pressing down on my spine, turning my breath into gasping sputters. I gather together all my strength, but even that isn't enough to overpower him. Now, you're going to tell me everything. What are you and the boy scheming? What are your endgame? Who else is on it? Damn it, I don't have many options here. What can I even do in this situation? Tell me what I want to know, and maybe I'll let you live. I highly doubt that. I guess I have no choice but to tell him the truth. Alright, fine. I'll tell you everything. Just know that this isn't some attempt to beg for mercy. I came to this mansion in order to unlock the door to the observation tower and free Morgana. Mel was not the one who told me about it though. I went to him and asked for his assistance. He didn't have to tell me because I already knew. Both about her and what you're doing to her. Stealing her blood and making medicine from it. Who told you then? Morgana did. Morgana's soul told me everything. I'm not from this time. I lived in a time after her death. It takes me several moments to process what just happened. A fire runs up my arm from my little finger, only turning into pain when it finally reaches my brain. I twist my head back to see the man on top of me holding my right hand. My finger snapped backwards, at the second joint. I ask you again, who told you? Oh man, that was a difficult read. Morgana did. She dies on the day of the Harvest Festival. Next up is your ring finger. And then your middle, if you insist on keeping this up. I'm telling you the truth. She bears so much hatred. She casts a curse on your soul. I've seen what happens in your next life. Ugh. Now you're resorting to souls and next lives? I'm genuinely impressed. What lies are you going to cook up next, white-haired knave? If I don't set Morgana free, your souls will be enslaved for all eternity. Imprisoned in this cursed mansion. When the bell tolls noon, on the day of the Harvest Festival, you'll lose everything. All of you will. You cannot escape it unless you do something. And the nun, the reason you locked Morgana up in the first place, she won't be safe either. She'll be killed. Man, that sound. 2 fingers left. Can you keep up the act that long? Everything I'm saying is the truth. I've seen it all, with my own 2 eyes. Why are you so insistent on maintaining this farce? Is it to protect the boy, or do you have some other motive? Every last word is true. Continuing to lie isn't going to make it any easier. Your voice is shaking, the pain started to get to you, isn't it? What you're doing to Morgana, it achieves nothing. You must release her and atone for your sins. Otherwise your soul, and the souls of those you care about, will be doomed to suffering. I see what this is now. You don't have the information I want, so all you can do is spin these lies. You thick-skulled bastard. There are other options though. Beg me for mercy. Sob like a little child, sniveling your "please don't kill me" and "I don't want to die, and it hurts so bad, please stop." Grovel on the ground, you tiny, pathetic man. And if you can entertain me, maybe I'll consider it. I will never shed another tear. And I will never beg for your damn mercy. Nothing I've said to you was a lie, has been a lie. Some cheap attempt to fool you into letting me go. Every word of it is true. I know the sins you've burdened your souls with. I know the fate that awaits you in your next life. And I will gladly tell you every detail. You're down to just your thumb. Now, go on. If you're so eager to tell me, Let's hear about my supposed next life, shall we? In your next life, you lose your memory in an accident, causing you to forget your own humanity. The innate savagery you normally keep hidden beneath a mask is released, unrestricted. And you turn into a creature no more than you know. Oh, you turn into a beast. My mask. You murdered countless people, including the woman you once called your lover. Lover? Hers is a name you know very well. Pauline, your tether. My tether? How do you know that word? Because I know everything. I know what you wanted. I know what you were never able to obtain. You idolized humanity, and you yearned for peace. You're telling me I killed a nun in my next life? I am. That is the fate that lies waiting for you. Her love for you is so strong, she refuses to believe you're dead. She leaves her seaside hometown in search of you, and she finds you. But you slaughter her. Did you say she lived in a city on the sea? In addition to her, you also lose someone else, a woman who tried to give you the peace you so desired, which eventually causes you to succumb entirely to instinct. Enough! Ah, man. Alright, fine. Now I know what you are. You're no mere seasoned liar. You're some kind of evil spirit that deceives human. You're peering into my heart, tailoring your lies specifically to manipulate me. I am not. I swear, I've seen everything that happens. Enough. But there's a chance you can change your fate. All you have to do is cease your involvement in Morgana imprisonment, set her free, allay the hatred she bears for you. Are you deaf? I said I heard enough. Release Morgana, save your soul, give her a better future. Silence! Ah! I think I'll take your arm off first. Cut right through your shoulder, nice and slowly. Don't! It'll still be attached for a while yet, don't you worry. You hear that, spirit? That's the sound of your flesh ripping apart. The sound of your muscles being severed. Not gonna be doing much talking anymore, are you? Not for the pain you aren't. Plead for your life, spirit. Beg for mercy. Admit it was all a sham. Apologize. Let the room fill with your cries of agony. Nothing was a sham. Every last word, it's all the truth. I'll rip that head right off your shoulders. I don't care who or what you are anymore. You're dead. You will do no such thing. Get back. You will not harm him further. Pauline? What? What are you doing here, Pauline? I told you to stay away. And the door. The door was locked. I open it. Ah, Mel, what a champion. You... One of Nelly hairpins was long enough to get into the lock and undo it. She won't be getting much use of it anymore, though busted up pretty badly in the process. The locks on the tower are too complex, but the one here is a lot simpler. Bet you never expected me to go cat burglar on you, huh? You stupid boy. Oh, what was your question last night again? Something about being on the edge of a cliff or whatever? Well, here your answer. I'll do everything I can to save both of them. God, Mel is the king! Holy, what an answer. This is terrible. How could you? Oh my, you're badly hurt. Sit tight, I'll call for a doctor. Don't worry about me. You need to talk to him. To get him to talk. We've got to do something about you though. I'll get that wound patched up at least. Until you can get it properly checked out. Thank you. Was it you who went to get Pauline? No, I ran into her while I was looking for you, which is when she told me she was looking for him. Neither of us were having any luck, so we scoured the mansion together. And when we reached the stairs to the cellar and heard screaming, my worst fears were confirmed. So I picked the lock, and here we are. Sorry we didn't make it sooner. This could have been avoided. God, look at what he did to you. There's so much blood, and your fingers. No, you made it just in time. My arm's still attached, and I'm not dead. Neither of which would be true without you. So I guess that means I actually did something good for once? Did something for someone other than myself? That you did. So everything Michelle said is true? The Lord isn't storing his valuables in the tower? He's got a girl locked up there? Well, is it true or not? It's still the Lord's property either way. The church is being funded with her miracle blood. So that makes her valuable, yes. So you're saying I've been handing out human blood? And telling people it was medicine? Not human. Witch. No, Morgana is a human girl. She hasn't become a witch yet, at least not here. All this time, I've been lying to the people who believe in me without even knowing what I was doing. Like you said, you didn't know. You haven't done anything wrong. Ignorance does not excuse sin. All that time I spent with you, and I didn't notice anything wrong. That was the idea. You weren't supposed to notice anything. It's not your fault I deceived you. It's unreasonable to think you should have been able to. All that, you did it to help me though, didn't you? Like a stupid little girl, I assumed it was all out of the good of your heart. Never once stopping to think any deeper than that, about where it was all coming from. Maria was right. I was blind. I was content to be pleased about the people I thought it was helping. I want you to do something for me. I want you to set this girl, set Morgana free. Please, do not make your sins any greater than they already are. But without the witch's blood, we lose the Lord's patronage and then the church. What good is a church that isn't actually saving anyone? Actually, no. That's avoiding the point entirely. What do you mean? To tell you the truth, I never really cared about the church at all. You... what? How can you say that, when you've always been so unconditionally charitable, even if it meant giving away food or money you needed yourself? People call you the saintess because that's what you are, a saint. It's true, I do that. But the fact is, I'm no saint. I don't deserve to be held up as one, nor do I belong in that position. I'm just an ordinary girl. I never wanted to be a nun, you know. I just didn't have any other option available to me. And I sure didn't have the confidence to make it out there on my own like Maria. So I did as I was told. And to keep myself from thinking it was a mistake, from feeling dissatisfied with that choice, I put everything I had into my responsibilities to the church. My unconditional charity was rooted entirely in selflessness and selfishness. And the longer I keep it up, the harder it became to stop. I forgot what I really wanted. And what would that be? A normal, happy life as an ordinary girl in a city on the water. What? That's what you said your dream was for your next life. Ah, right. Yeah, a quiet life with the men I love. You might get that wish, in fact. That's what you said, wasn't it? That in her next life, she lives in a city by the sea? That is correct. In your next life, Pauline, you're not a nun. You're an ordinary girl who lives in a seaside city. A sweet, cheerful, energetic girl who wears her heart on her sleeve. You have both your mother and your father. And I... So you believe me now? I don't know. Your claims are utterly ridiculous, but it's getting harder to think you're lying. Man, just tell him in name. and you'll understand. If that's what you really want, Pauline, what should I have done instead? I envied what you had. That's solace. The last thing I wanted was for you to lose it. But you're saying you found no peace in that life? That's right. So what should I have done? I want you to take me away from this place, somewhere far away. I want you to make it so I could be Pauline, not Mary. That would have been my ideal life, to live with you, to have a family with you. How was I supposed to know? You couldn't possibly have known. I realized that. And that's what makes me a bit complicit as you. Makes me every bit complicit as you. Set Morgana free. I will be expected to pay for my crime. That itself is not a problem. I have every intention of facing the consequences. But we have done terrible, gruesome things. I don't know what the usual punishment for such isn't in this land. But if I had to guess, I would say execution. And me being an outsider, make it easier for people to place the blame on me. I won't be able to take you away. We'll find each other again in our next lives, okay? Okay. As I'm sure you heard, my involvement in this conspiracy ends here. I'm glad to hear you've decided to take action. Sorry about your fingers and arm. I'm still alive, that's what matters. The third key is in the Lord's possession. You said you needed it by noon of the Harvest Festival, yes? Which means we need to act quickly. That's correct. We must set Morgana free before the bell tolls noon tomorrow. Then tonight, that's the next time the Lord will be here. Tonight I'll kill him and take his key. Wait, no, we're not shedding any blood to get this key. Do you remember what I said a few minutes ago about not committing any further sins? He's not likely to hand over the key without a fight, though. We need to convince him, not to force his hand. Besides, simply opening the door is not enough. Why not? My goal here is to save Morgana's soul. In order to do that, I need to pacify at least some degree of that hatred she bears in it. A hatred rooted in her perception of you and the things you've done to her. I need to change that perception. I'm not quite following. What do you mean by change her perception? For you and the Lord to tell your stories, to describe what happened from your perspective. You want my perspective? I do. Something in your motivations or your circumstances might serve to lessen the animosity she holds for you. The greater the discrepancy in what she believes to be the truth and the full story, with everyone's perspective included, the greater the chance she may have change of heart. Okay, I now understand what you want from me. However, my perspective will do nothing to serve that end. There is no ambiguity, no justification for my actions. Regardless, I would still like to know the whole truth, if you're willing to tell me you're a part of it. Okay, I'll come by to your room later today. Hey, is it alright if I'm there too? Sorry, I would rather if you weren't. Why? Everything you need to know, I've told you already. I captured a witch. No, I kidnapped a young girl for profit and imprisoned her in the tower. My motivation, as I said, was to keep your church funded. Those are the facts. The things I did along the way are brutal and inhumane. I hope you can understand why I wouldn't want a woman I love to hear any of that. I understand. I'll see you again later in the day. I'll be waiting. I should get going too. You're going to need medication and something to get that arm dressed properly. And if there's anything else I can get you, let me know. If you want to see a doctor, I'll find you the best one I can. I'm so sorry for ever doubting you. No, I understand. I'm glad you came at all. Me too. Well, See you. I'm kind of surprised. He's actually got a soft spot, huh? And I was sure you were full of it when you said that the two of them had been going. What does she see in a guy like him anyway? She's got bad taste in guys, that's for sure. What's with that look? Just admiring your rather inappropriate remarks? Ah, sorry, I was just so relieved it kind of came out. It's okay, you almost got a smile out of me. I've never seen you smile before. I blame being relieved too. Now, would you mind helping me get back to my room? Sure, no problem. My shoulder all yours. You know, you're really something else, Michelle. I could hear you through the door as I was getting it opened, and honestly, I'm amazed you were able to stand up to him like that. I don't want to get my hopes up too high just yet, but I'm starting to think you might actually be able to do something about the Lord. That's reassuring. Thank you. Sure. Anyway, let's get going. You should get as much rest as you can until he shows up. Well, I mean you should be going to see a doctor with these wounds. Oh yeah, Nellie's been worried sick about you all day. I'll have to tell her not to pounce on you, because I'm sure she'll come running as soon as she hears we found you. Yeah, I really want to know who the Lord is. I truly am curious. I mean, it's supposed to be Jacopo, but she said he had a different name, so I don't know, I'm like confused, but everything matched so far. So I don't know, maybe we'll have to wait and see. Giselle. You're right, I do have people here who will support me. People who are grateful for me, and who show concern for me. But you have to know, Giselle, that it's your voice I want to hear more than anyone else. Why can I not hear you? Where are you, Giselle? Giselle? Yeah, what happened to Giselle? She disappeared. It's almost sunset. Looks like the snow didn't stick. You couldn't actually see the snow last night, could you, Giselle? Was that when the light started fading from the sphere of darkness encasing you? Or had it been going on even longer than that? Why didn't you say anything? Not a word. I don't believe you're gone for good. You're still out there, somewhere. I know it. And I will come for you. I swear it. There he is. Just a moment. Man, I hate him so bad. Here I am, as promised. I heard you talking, so I thought there was someone with you. But you're alone? It's only me, yes? I see. As I told you earlier, my perspective on events will do nothing to change Morgana's mind. I would still like to hear what you have to say. Huh, alright. Not being from this land, I don't believe in the local god, nor do I think priests and preachers are any better than con artists. Where did that come from? What I'm trying to say is if I give a confessional, it won't be to another human. Question mark. You're an angel. Come again? The angel from the stained glass window. That's you, isn't it? Wait, how on earth did you come to that conclusion? I was thinking about everything you said earlier in the cellar. The fact that you knew about Morgana, the fact that you could see into my heart, and in particular, all your talk about saving people's souls. Salvation is not a man's job. Damn, he actually got a point. I gotta give it to him. Which means you must be something else. I will tell you everything. Every foolish mistake, every terrible crime. And in exchange, I would like you to tell me what I am to do next to lead me down the path I am to take. Lead me down the path I am to take. I terrify myself. With every passing day, my ability to tell what direction I'm supposed to be heading in dulls. So after I tell my story, I want you to do that for me. Please, will you show me the way? I can do no more decide the path than you take, But you saw into my heart. Giselle, if you were here, You would encourage me to agree to his request, wouldn't you? Okay. I can't guarantee that anything I'll have to say will be of use, but I will do my best I can to lead you in the right direction. Thank you. Now, before I begin, there's one thing I need to clarify. I am not in love with Pauline. She does play an important role in my life, though. That much is true. She's your tether. Exactly. I also suppose you can say admire her? She's everything I'm not. Everything I cannot be. Is that something I should tell her, you think? That I don't love her? That I'm incapable of feeling love? Should I tell her that, knowing she genuinely loves me? My instincts tell me I shouldn't. I know very well I'm lying to her. But there are circumstances in which a lie is preferable to the truth, are there not? With that said, I'm ready to begin. You have my full attention. As you know, I'm not from this land. The issue is, I don't know any more about where I came from than you. Really, that's interesting. I remember the Silk Road, stretching out before me as far as the eye can see. Clouds of dust wisping across the bare dirt trail. That endless expanse of red earth remains branded into the very fabric of my mind. But beyond that, most of my memories are gone. So we lost in memory? Again? I mean, in this life as well? I can only clearly remember the last 5 years or so of my life. In my oldest real memory, I was a slave. I didn't work on some nobleman's estate, but instead, I did physical labor, construction work. I built roads and buildings, torn down hills and mountains. That's where it was decided someone built like I am would be the most used, I suppose. And while I doubt I need to tell you this, living conditions were miserable. Other slaves withered away and died on a daily basis. Working in noble estate would have been easier without a doubt, if only for the fact I would have a specific master. I don't remember anything about my life before becoming a slave. All I have are those few images from which I can guess I was part of a caravan. Or perhaps a messenger. I vaguely remember being waylaid. We were vastly outnumbered, massacred with little resistance. Or at least, I assume that's what happened. When I next woke up, I had been stripped bare and was surrounded by men I didn't recognize. The words they spoke were gibberish to my ears, but I could tell from their tone of voice and expression that the things they were saying were not friendly. They seemed to be mocking me, laughing at me. As you might expect, I attempted to protest, but evidently I had been beaten quite badly while I was unconscious. My joints were stiff and swollen, on top of my dehydration, so I could barely move, let alone put up a fight. As strong as I might have been at full health, I was in no condition to do anything then. You have no idea what it's like. How it feels to be abused and humiliated, desperate for food and water. Oh, I see. So as I was saying, I was a slave for one grueling, torturous year, and no one treated me like a human being. There was no one from the same part of the world as me, and there was no one to come to my aid. Over time, I came to learn their language. Though I can only speak it, I don't know how to read or write. But to be honest, I think I was happier not understanding what people were saying about me. They had many words to describe me. None of them were flattering. Some of them would even call me beasts. Wow, it's exactly like the story, where you recognize people call him Bestia. And the longer I was treated as something less than human, the more I began to question whether I really was one. A darkness grew inside me. With each repeated insult, I wanted to make them pay for the daily abuse. And who wouldn't? The desire to exact vengeance when you've been mistreated is only natural. It's perfectly reasonable. But they were right about what I was deep down, a beast, and my revenge went far beyond what could be considered reasonable. 4 years ago, I was sitting in a carriage as it rattled along a dirt road. This was not the kind of carriage you rode around in town, but filthy slave transport. It was packed front to back with slaves, or soon-to-be slaves, I suppose I should say. There were men, young women, and even children. I believe this is the one with Morgana in. Everyone wore a look of hopelessness on their face, and no one had the strength left to resist. They looked like me a year earlier, deprived of food and water, and beaten into submission. The slave trader guards were armed, of course, swords hanging from their hips, ready to cut down anyone who showed any signs of resistance. So they sat there, lamenting their fate. Sitting beside me was a young girl, crying in silence. Glancing over at her, I caught a glimpse of her face. Large chunks of skin seemed to have fallen off it. It was, suffice it to say, an unusual sight. But beyond that, I didn't think much of it. I didn't find it disturbing or pleasant, perhaps because I had a seemingly unusual appearance. What caught my attention, though, was the way she was crying. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it seemed different somehow from everyone else crying in the carriage. It was almost like her tears were not for herself. "Why are you crying?" At my question, the girl turned her head up to look at me. Surprise crossed her face for a few brief seconds, but that was her only reaction to my appearance. I assume her thought process was roughly the same as mine, so she felt no need to fear me. After a moment's hesitation, she said, "I'm sad because I didn't get the chance to show my gratitude to people very dear to me." Her response perplexed me to no end. Why was she concerned about showing gratitude? Why was she not despairing of her own circumstance? Why was that emotion that gripped her in that moment not hatred for the slave trader or sorrow for herself? To this day, I still don't understand. But what wasn't the only thing I found curious. Her voice, despite being soft, cut through the crying and wailing of the other slaves. I pictured it like a single patch of clear water in the middle of a swamp, untainted by surrounding, gently undoling. One sentence was all she said, but there was something unbelievably calming about the sound of it. For a moment, I was filled with a sense of tranquility. And though you may not believe it, I want to get her out of that filthy carriage, to undo the shackles threatening to taint her. And so I took action, driven by that desire. This is no lie, I promise. No, don't kill me. Please, you can have all my money. You can go free if that's what you want. I'll apologize. Anything. Huh. What? Why are you laughing? Please spare me. Oh my days. I have a wife and children, please. I'm begging you. And why? Oh my god. Wait, he said something. And why should I care? Holding a sword in my hand felt amazingly right. Whatever work I once did must have required me to use a blade. Even with the shackles still around my wrist, I had little trouble slaughtering the slave trader and their guards. They let their guard down because we were restrained. The thought of anyone resisting never once crossed their minds. Dead bodies sprawled out around me. Corpses I had made, lives I had snuffed out. Look at this. See? No one can defeat me. They stood no chance against my strength. Oh my god. More, I need more. I need more. I don't have the words to describe the high it gave me killing those men, the power I felt over them. I was driven mad by the stench of blood filling the air. No, it just drew out what was always there. If I weren't already deranged, the corpses would have had nothing to stimulate in the first place. That is correct. After taking the keys off one of the slave traders, I returned to the carriage, doing the best to act calm and suppresses my bubbling exhilaration. Hey, you, unlock my shackles for me. I would do it myself if I could. You, say something, would you? Ha, but she said nothing, simply removing my shackles as commanded. If she had said even one word, let me hear that curiously calming voice of her, then in all likelihood I would probably have stopped there. but she remained perfectly silent. Everyone was in shock at what they had just witnessed, her included. In time, though, the slaves started cheering. The same people who had been wailing minutes earlier were now shouting praises. Our savior! You are our savior! We're free to go home. We can have our lives back. Undo our shackles, please. I am a beast. What? I'm not a savior. I'm not man. I'm a beast. Isn't that right? I'm a beast, aren't I? What are you? More. I need more. I thirst for more. What? Why are you pointing your... I need more. Oh, God. Just enjoy the senseless killing. In that moment, the last of my reason dissolved. I went into a frenzy, slaughtering the helpless slaves I had never intended to kill. I was euphoric. I couldn't get enough. I reveled in it. Never before had I felt such utter ecstasy. Their cries for mercy as I ripped through them were delicious. The look of fear in their eyes, the way their faces twist, the splatters of blood around their mouth opened in scream. The despair that filled them. I didn't care anymore that they were just as much victim as me. That they had suffered the same abuse and humiliation. All of that was buried beneath the waves of bliss that ravished me. Everyone who asked to be spared, I skewered. I worked my way around the inside of the carriage, killing dozens upon dozens of slaves. Heads went rolling off shoulders, hot geysers of blood spewing from open necks. I was practically wading through the blood by this point. Ugh. Some bodies I completely dismembered. Others I disemboweled, leaving their entrails to hang out of their open guts. All of them had looks of agony frozen into their face as death took them. And I'm pissed. I don't know if I was unconsciously avoiding her or if it was just coincidence, but the girl was the only one left alive. She, of course, hadn't been spared the mess, so she sat there, drenched in sticky, red gore. Her lips appeared to be trembling, though I couldn't tell for sure with so much of her skin missing. The fire inside me burned white hot. She was the reason I had done any of this in the first place. I had stood up because I wanted to set her free, but my original intentions were since gone from my mind. Raw pleasure overwhelmed any sense of reason. I approached the girl, pointing the sword at her neck. I expected her to scream, to beg for her life like the others, but she did nothing, simply stared up at me. Why didn't you run? At my question, the girl finally spoke. Why did you kill them? The sound of her voice quelled the fur within me. It baffled me. I had no control over it, yet the strange girl could pacify me with a single utterance. The words she used didn't matter. It was her voice. She could have called me a monster, and it would have the same effect. Because I felt like it. I couldn't explain my reason for murdering the slaves. I didn't have the words to express the things that drove me. All I could tell her was that I did it because I felt like it. And why haven't you killed me yet? I couldn't find a sure answer for that question in my somewhat rattled mind either. In retrospect, I realize now that her voice was my first tether. But at the time, I had no idea why I didn't take her life in my frenzy. I had killed other children, other women. Young, old, sad, miserable. It didn't matter. Nothing had so much as pricked my conscience. I don't know, I said, and then I stepped off the carriage and walked away, left with question I couldn't answer. Was I really a beast? Was unleashing my innate savagery and reveling in the massacre of helpless people really all I wanted? I didn't know. After escaping from the slave traders, I became something of a bandit. I had no hope of anyone taking me in. Not only I was a murderer, I was a foreigner. Nor did I have any chance of finding decent work. So I lived by the sword, killing and plundering. The money I honestly didn't give a damn about. I had no desire to be wealthy. It was simply a matter of survival. That and quenching my thirst. I went on for about 3 years like that. Until finally encountering something I couldn't defeat with my sword. No amount of muscle was enough to protect myself from disease. One day, I woke up with the chills, my vision blurry, barely able to move my own limbs. I set off for a nearby village, hoping to see a doctor, but my body didn't last that long. I collapsed on the side of the road, drained of my last strength. It was a moderately busy road at that, so I assumed I had made it close to the city. Dozens of people passed by, silently pretending not to see anything. I didn't look like someone a respectable person would want to involve themselves with in normal circumstances, so it was no surprise they weren't interested in this sick, filthy foreign men. Hell, I couldn't remember the last time I had bathed. It was hard to look at me, let alone get anywhere near me. This is where I'm going to die, I thought. It seemed like a suitable end to a mad, murderous monster life, withering away on the side of the road beneath sneering passersby. The fact that I was still alive at all, after 3 years of leeching off other people's lives, was itself wrong. I didn't lament my impending demise. I accepted that such was the way of the world. But then, I glanced up to see a woman in a nun habit looking down on me. Are you alright? Are you sick? I'm going to check your temperature, okay? Wow, you're burning up. You shouldn't be here in this condition. Do you not have anywhere to go? Don't worry, I've got you covered. There's a church not too far from here. Hang in there just a little longer, and you'll be fine. And what is your god going to do for me? He helps people in need? It's not very big, but we always got room for people who need it. You can rest up in one of the open beds, and I should be able to get you a little something to eat. I promise it'll be better than staying out here, at any rate. Can you stand? Not a problem. We can do this together. Put your arm around my shoulders. The church isn't that far. We can do it. You're going to carry me? Yep. It'll be fine. We'll make it. One way or another. She saved him. Almost. We're almost there. Just a little longer. I'm heavy, aren't I? Very, very heavy. But that's not a problem. I can do anything if I put my mind to it. Just throw me into a ditch. Now. God doesn't like his children talking like that. Almost there. We're almost there. So, how are you feeling? Better, I hope. I've left some applesauce on the bedside if you're feeling up to eating anything. And you're welcome to stay here as long as you need to. Why did you help me? Because that's what people do. They help each other. That's not what most people do. I like to think it is. You church people are exceptions. I'm not sure. I agree with that. This woman is only showing me compassion because she doesn't know what I am. She wouldn't be so friendly if she knew I was a madman and a murderer. If there's anything else you want, let me know. I can't make you any fancy dinners, but if it's anything I can get, I will. Could you tell me your name? I'm Mary. Mary. After, who was it? The Virgin? You're not familiar with the Virgin Mary? Just look at me. I'm clearly not from these parts. Yeah, I can see that. So that would make you a traveler, huh? You speak the language really well, though. I take it you've been here for a while, then. Yes, I have. How exciting. So, when you're feeling better, maybe you could tell me about the country you came from. I've never been far from home, so I'm curious what it's like elsewhere. There's nothing I could tell you. It can be anything. Tell me about yourself if you want. I'm even less inclined to do that. Get better soon, okay? I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. I'm not sure there's anyone out there more deserving of the Virgin Mary name. What was that? Your name. It suits you. Oh, no, not at all. I'm incredibly flattered to hear you say that, but I hardly live up to the name. What's your name, by the way? I have no name. You don't? If you want something to call me by, you can choose a name for me. Anything you want. Huh. I'm nameless. You give me a name. I think you should be the one to choose your name. I'd be more than happy to help, though. But you should go with the name you think it's best. I see. Well, I should get going. I'll be around, so if you need anything, just holler. Bye then. How am I supposed to choose a name for myself when I don't know anything about me? I recovered quickly with a proper bed and a roof over my head. Out on the road, I had been certain I stood no chance, but I was back on my feet after only 3 days at the church. My body was more resilient than I even knew. And now that I was back in health, I had no intentions of sticking around. Thank you for everything. I would be dead if it weren't for you. No thanks necessary. I'm just glad to see you're feeling better. There's no need to be in such a rush to leave, you know. Stay a bit longer, make sure everything's alright. I'm not going to stay any longer than necessary. If you're sure. Take this as payment for the food and lodging. I can't accept that, no. We don't charge for charity. Charity is not free. You paid for it. Let me pay you back. I can't. Please, take the money. If you insist, I can accept it as a tithe. A tithe? Think of it like a donation to the church. Like you said, the work we do isn't free. Alright, then a tithe it is. Thank you, and may God bless you for your generosity. So long. Hey, if you're ever in the area, maybe you can stop by sometime. I never did get a chance to have that talk with you. And I was really looking forward to it too. I'll just cause you more trouble. What? No, you wouldn't. What makes you think that? Are you afraid you'll scare people off because you look different? I really don't think you need to worry about that. It's not just my appearance. Do you mean it? That it won't be any trouble having me around? I absolutely mean it. Okay, I'll consider it. Wonderful. I can't wait to see you again. Yeah. Believe me, I knew I had no place involving myself with her. A killer making himself comfortable in the house of God? I don't even believe in their deity, and I still knew that was nothing if not extremely disrespectful. The money I had donated to her church wasn't even clean. It was stolen. I didn't feel the slightest bit guilty about it, though. I was more than conscious of what I was doing, but none of that mattered to me. She had smiled when she took it. That was enough. Seeing the nun smile put my heart at ease. Much like the sound of the slave girl voice had several years before. It restrained me, suppressed my urges. That smiling face was a new tether. I had always believed that I was at my happiest while torturing people. That my thirst for murder was ingrained in my soul. But exhilarating as taking other lives was, there was a part of me that yearned for peace. I had gotten a taste of that with her, and I wanted more. Even knowing I had no place in that world, that peace was something I would never attain. Still, I longed for it. It started with brief visits every few months. In time, though, their frequency began to increase. Soon, it was once a month, then twice, then once a week. The length of my visit gradually grew as well. Every time I showed up, the nun greeted me with a smile, quenching my thirst without the need for blood. The more we met, the more I endeavored to be a normal man around her, or to play the part of one. I thought that if I acted like there was nothing wrong with me, then I wouldn't be out of place at her side. I wanted to feel like I belonged in that peaceful world where she lived. Ah, it's the giant man, Mary. The giant man here. Giant? Ah, hello there. I was beginning to think you weren't coming this week. I was having trouble deciding on what to bring you. You're always welcome here, you know. You don't have to bribe yourself in. But I appreciate it. Thank you. I wouldn't feel right if I didn't bring something. I bought a variety of fruits for you today, so you can share them with the children. They'll be delighted. Thank you so much. It's nothing, really. So, have you decided on a name for yourself yet? Not yet, no. Nothing at all. It makes talking to you a little awkward, not having anything to call you. In that case, the giant man is as good as anything. Ah, did he get under your skin? A little. I'm not that big, am I? We're all giants to little kids. I do wish they'd be a little less blunt about it sometimes, though. Indeed. I suppose it's better than them being afraid of me. The children here have strong nerves. They're ordinary kids. You're just not a scary person. They only assume I'm harmless because I'm with you. What? You make it sound like you actually are dangerous or something. Because I am. Don't get worked up about it. The only thing different about us is our race. Everything else is exactly the same. I'm not so sure. You must have had some pretty awful experiences because of your appearance, then, to make you so concerned about it. I wish I could say I understood your pain. That's not necessary. But if I could, then maybe I'd feel a little closer to you. If only I could be even half the same race as you. You have nothing to gain from being more like me. You don't think so? I think there's a lot that would be nice about it. I would probably have really pretty black hair, at least. If I'm ever reborn, I'd like to be more like you. Why are you so obsessed with being like me? Bro, go to hell. I just, oh. Yeah. Man, I truly hate him. That doesn't absolve him. That was about time I started noticing the feelings she had for me. At first, I thought I was simply being egotistical. There was no way a woman like her would be interested in men like me. But I couldn't think of any other explanation for the way she looked at me. Back then, I believed I loved her too. And that if we could be together as man and woman, that I would finally be able to attain the peace I so sought. That I could wash my hands of the killer within me, defeat the urges once and for all. That I could step out of the darkness I had lived in for so long. That I would be able to see that light. That I would be able to experience love like any other ordinary man. So in the name of that hope, I took action. That foolish, naive hope. What are you doing out here so late at night? Sorry for asking you to meet me in such a short notice. I hope it wasn't too much trouble sneaking out. It certainly wasn't easy. So, you had something to tell me? What I'm about to tell you, every last word is sincere. And then once you've heard me out, I want you to turn me down. What? Over these past few months, I've come to at least somewhat understand the responsibility and restriction placed on you as a nun. But even ignoring the obligations you have, I know good and well I'm not a suitable match for you. Which is why, as I said, I would like you to turn me down. I still want to hear it. I love you. Oh, I fell for you the moment I first saw you. I know, I don't deserve to be anywhere near you. But every time we met, My desire to be with you grew stronger and stronger until it was out of my control. Turn me down, Mary, please, and I will stop trying to get close to you. I'm not Mary. You're not... What? My real name is Pauline. Pauline? Mary is my baptismal name. It's not a name I was given at birth. I love you too. I fell for you the moment I first laid eyes on you. I know it's forbidden, but I want to be with you too. Any free time I have, I want to spend it with you. I'm glad to hear you say that. Thank you for being honest with me. No, thank you for not turning me down. Wow, talk about an anxious day. When you asked me to meet you out here tonight, I wondered if it might... Oh, I accidentally clicked. I wondered if it might be what it was about. It felt like my heart was going to explode all day. Heart? Explode? Don't trigger him, Pauline. He's crazy. Guys get nervous about telling girls how they feel too, don't they? Yeah, we do. Until now, I had no idea falling in love was so hard on the nerves. Just thinking about you makes my mind turn to mush. It's hard to work like that, you know. Is it really that stressful? Is it really like that for you too? Yeah. Thinking about you makes it impossible to concentrate. Tell me something, I mean, Pauline. Huh? What is it? How exactly is it hard on your nerves? What? How exactly? It's like, I'm in the clouds and I want to scream and I want to jump into a lake all at the same time. That doesn't help me much. Could you be a little more specific? Really? Are you trying to embarrass me? It's like my whole body gets really hot. You mean you get aroused? Aroused? No, to put it bluntly, yes. I see. You're a real jerk, you know. You shouldn't go around trying to humiliate ladies. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh, you. Well, that was insightful. So I'm not in love with her, or mentally attracted to her, or even physically attracted to her. All I want from her is her smile. Being around her doesn't arouse me. In fact, it does exactly the opposite. My fire burns brightest when I'm not with her. It all makes sense now. I just want someone to keep me placated. I'm disturbed in a true and true. A murderer and a beast. See? That's why I didn't want to say anything. I knew you would laugh at me. I'm sorry. I truly am. I did ultimately get what I wanted out of the arrangement. She became my tether. Became an invaluable part of my life. Even if I had no real love for her. When I was with her, I was at peace. That said, her presence didn't completely rid me of my urges. I was still occasionally struck with bouts of insatiable thirst. Overwhelming desire to mutilate anyone who came into my line of sight. And sometimes, Pauline became the object of that desire. It goes without saying that I never did draw my sword on her, but I had no way of knowing when I might lose control. If I ever did kill her, then there would be nothing left to keep me from regressing completely into a beast. Pauline and I had arranged regular nighttime meetings, though never once did I tell her how I truly felt, and I had no intention to either. When I was with her, I was in the role of her lover. She never questioned my love for her, and expressing hers for me caused her to smile even more than normal. The happier she was, the more beneficial it was to me. Spending time with her in this capacity, I was able to gain a deeper understanding of what kind of person Pauline was. She was a deeply generous and compassionate woman. While I now understand her near-compulsive deeds of charity were a result of the stress and uncertainty she felt about herself, at the time, I believed she was doing it because she genuinely wanted to. I believed she wanted to save absolutely everyone, to be the saintess she had become to be known as. She gave assistance to anyone who sought it from her, without question, and as a result, the church coffers quickly dried up. Her god did not supply her with an endless store of bread and wine either. In the end, any endeavor, no matter the intentions, requires money. In time, her generosity turned excessive, self-destructive. She would even skip meals that others could eat. In retrospect, that was probably my fault too, as I pushed her towards wanting to be a regular girl. She pushed back against that desire by being even more charitable. Soon, her actions started making the other nuns' lives difficult, giving her a less than favorable reputation within the church. Still, she would tell me when we met up and how she wished she could help even more people. If doing so would give her peace, and if I could be part of that peace, then I want to grant her wish. But what could a killer like me do to help? Petty thievery wouldn't make me nearly enough money to keep a church and an orphanage running. And a raid large enough in scale to do so inevitably be traced back to the source, which would ruin the church forever. How was a murderer to acquire such a large sum of money? I was ready to jump at any opportunity that presented itself, when I received the summons from the Lord. Oh. It is GeneralApple! Okay. Now we know. Now we know. I take it you're Oriental man who's been seen buzzing around the local church of late. When I first saw the Lord, I was surprised at just how young he looked. He also looks different. I mean, not different to us, but like different from the rest. There couldn't have been more than a couple of years difference between us. I had envisioned him as an elderly, or at the very least, a middle-aged man. That would be me, yes. What of it? Who would you think you're talking to, you impudent rat? Show some damn respect. Apologies. Apologies. I'm not very familiar with the local customs or language. Huh. Very well then. You're fortunate I'm such an understanding man. Now, for the reason I called you here, you're the one who killed that cart full of slaves 4 years ago, aren't you? So you know about that. Ha, I wasn't actually sure it was you, but now I have confirmation. Since then, one slave of the Far Eastern origin has remained unaccounted for. I take it would be you? That's right. You made one hell of a mess out there. Am I here to be punished? That depends on how our talk goes. If you think I'm going back to being a slave, you're fooling yourself. Huh. I don't need any more damn slaves, and I certainly don't want you as one. You're obviously not finding any respectable work being an ex-slave, so I take it you're still in the business of getting your hands dirty, are you not? I assume you're playing cat burglar or something, living off whatever you can swipe from the nearest unlucky bastard. Correct. Isn't it comical, then, that you would choose God's sacred house to stretch your legs in, you filthy dog? I absolutely agree. I thought it would get a reaction out of you, but it seems you got no bite in you today. Never mind, let's get down to business. You're going to help me out with a little something I'm working on. Help you with what, exactly? Something that's going to make me a lot of money. And if you lend me a hand, I'll make sure you're well taken care of. Along with the church you're so fond of, and the nun you've taken the liking to. That nun of yours has made quite a name for herself. Out in the city proper, people have started calling her the Saintess. They're right about that. She is. Huh. The commoners love her their heroes and saints. They eat that rubbish right up. But saint or not, you can't simply create food from nothing. Her work is causing financial trouble for the church, is it not? It is, yes. If you help me with this, I'm offering you an entirely new church, one where she has complete control to do as she wishes. She'll make it into the biggest church in the city. She'll be able to help even more people, which should surely please her. What will you have me do? Jumping at the first whiff of scraps, you really are a dog, aren't you? I don't like the conversation that overstay their welcome. Huh, fair enough. Then let's get to business. Not far from here lives the witch whose blood has the power to cause miracles. Miracle blood? Sounds like a sham to me. You never know. They say the sound of her first cry brought rain to the land where she was born, saving the whole village from drought. And they say her blood has the power to cure any disease. I'll worry about the veracity of the rumors later. Right now, all I want is for you to capture her and bring her to me. Explain something to me, Lord. You said that if I helped you, the nun would be able to save more people than she does now. So how does capturing this witch accomplish that? I'm glad you know to listen, dog. God, dude. What a despicable man. Even Jacopo wasn't that much of an a-hole. I mean, this guy is clearly feistier. We'll be turning the blood into a miracle elixir, which she will then distribute to patrons of the church, in exchange for tithes, of course. Selling it, then. Selling isn't quite the right word, but if that's how you want to think of it, then by all means. The commoner's beloved sentence, handing out an all-powerful miracle medicine. They'll lap it up. And in turn, you'll make a fortune. Exactly. Money I can use to support her church. It'll be a boon to the city economy as well. A single witch freedom is all it'll cost for everyone here to come out happy. So what it'll be? Will you help? Or will I have to? I'll help. I have no reason not to. Decisive and good listener. Excellent. Once I've captured a witch, where do I take her? I have a mansion set aside where your nun can run her church. There's an observation tower on the grounds. The witch will be kept locked up there, to ensure we have constant supply of blood. Okay. When do you want me to get her? You're just chomping at the bit now, aren't you? I thought you'd hesitate at least a little, but I guess it was foolish of me to presume you to understand how a killer mind works. All the resources I put into investigating you and everyone close to you were wasted, it would seem. Do you even have a conscience? Don't act like you're any different. I assure you, I have a conscience. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't necessary for the growth of the city. No, I mean you're as much as murderer as me. You would never come up with a scheme like this if your hands were clean. Watch your mouth, dog. Don't you dare insinuate I would ever condescend to your level. Man, he is wild. And that will be all for today's video. And yes, I know I paused right before reaching the interesting part again. Right before he actually reached into Morgana Cottage and the entire thing folded. But the reason I paused is because it's really late as I'm recording this. And I've done a lot today before starting to record. So I'm kind of getting tired. And as I was saying in the previous video, I don't want to record when I'm even slightly tired. Because this game deserves my undivided attention. I want to remember every single sentence, every single detail. I'm not even kidding. The story is just incredibly good. So I'm stopping it right here after an hour, and that's, I think, pretty much good for today. But yeah, that's all for now. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.